We have with us now Ben Carson, who is not from the field of boxing, but I'm sure has some thoughts of his own about the passing of Muhammad Ali. What did he mean for you as you were growing up, Dr. Carson?
Well, as a kid growing up in Detroit, I, along with everybody else, was enthralled by, the way that he spoke. He was very articulate. And at a time, when the civil rights movement was in full swing and people had all kinds of different impressions of what blacks were like, he made it clear that he wasn't taking a back seat to anybody. And I think a lot of people took pride in that. And he used his fame, later on, for good causes. So even though, as a neurosurgeon, I probably would not be a great advocate of doing things to injure the brain, he used it in a positive way.
He sure did. Of course, it's most likely that his Parkinson's was caused by the traumatic brain injury of being in the ring for so long, so many brutal fights. But what about his political views? And he was sort of standing in contrast to the more moderate civil rights leaders like Dr. King, even though he did work with Dr. King slightly short time before Dr. King was assassinated. Did you take sides in that issue at all?
Well, he had the right instincts in terms of trying to create a situation of equality for everybody. He perhaps sometimes aligned himself with more radical elements. But I think his motives were correct. And over the course of time, as he matured, I think he began to modify those views in a very positive way.
Yeah, he did indeed, and in fact became a moderating voice in the whole nation, the worldwide nation of Islam, and condemned both Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Absolutely, there was no hesitation in his condemnation of violence in Islam.
There's probably a lot that some others could take from that in the Muslim community. There are a lot of wonderful people in the Muslim community. I grew up in Detroit, and someone's going to have to really begin to take a stand, a strong stand. And I think that will encourage others. But as you probably know right now, if you take a stand in that community, there can be some really significant ramifications for you.
Indeed, there can. Let's talk about violence and the way it's kind of bled into the political sphere, particularly in the last couple of days, and in particular in San Jose, where a number of Trump supporters were attacked by these protesters. I don't even want to use the word protesters because clearly they were looking for a fight. The San Jose mayor, as you might know, has blamed Donald Trump for the fact that some of these protesters have attacked Trump supporters. What do you make of that?
I think they're looking in the wrong place to place the blame. Many of these agitators have been seen at several different sites, which means that they are probably being sponsored by somebody. And if that is the case, that's where the investigation should go. And if we can find out that there is a group behind them who is sponsoring this kind of activity, they should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Who should be prosecuting? Because, of course, the mayor of San Jose is not going to do it. He's actually blaming Donald Trump for what happened to Trump supporters. So who should be involved in that? With the Justice Department?
The Justice Department should be. If in fact, they can relinquish any political ties and start thinking that they are working for the people and for the good of the people. And of course, that's been a problem over the last several years. And it may have to wait until there's a new Justice Department.
All right. Well, switching gears a little bit, there's a new controversy that I'm sure you're aware of about Trump speak, if you will. Donald Trump talking about an African-American in the crowd. I think we have the soundbite from that, which is creating a flurry of activity on Twitter and all the social media sites. Let's play the tape.
We had a case where we had an African-American guy who was a fan of mine. Great fan. Great guy. In fact, I want to find out what's going on with him. You know what I'm... look at my African-American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay.
All right. Now, I put that down as kind of the Trump speech. That's the way he says things, does things. But a lot of people say my African American was a slur to all African Americans. And you say what?
I say much to do about nothing. You know, we've spent so much time, you know, analyzing everything that everybody says and trying to ascribe some nefarious notion to it, that we don't listen. And we don't solve our problems. And if we continue along this line, what is going to happen to us as a society? Everybody has to screen so carefully everything they say because somebody's going to be offended. And now it's getting to the point where if you don't say something, well, what did you mean by not saying anything? And they're going to be offended about that. We have got to move beyond this. And it's going to require some type of leadership that allows us to focus on the big picture so that we're not always nitpicking at everything.
Well, is Donald Trump winning that war, the battle of political correctness?
It's a tough battle, let me tell you, because you have to understand what political correctness is all about. It's about imposing a blanket of silence on the society while you change it from beneath the cover, from beneath the blanket. And if you get nobody protesting and nobody complaining about it, you can move very rapidly to change it. Just think about the fact that 30 years ago, if someone had tried to describe America today to you, you wouldn't have believed them. You would say, get out of here. That's not America. That's how quickly it is changing. It will continue to change that quickly if we allow the veil of political correctness to prevail.
Dr. Ben Carson, of course, was a presidential candidate, is now rooting for Donald Trump. Dr. Carson, wonderful to see you again. Thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate it.